Hey folks, today we're doing a video on the 8 things you need to know before moving to Toronto, Ontario. I'm your host, Tom Moore, and here at Canadian Neighborhoods, we've built up a massive network to assist you with your move, whether it's between provinces or from outside of Canada into Canada. Be sure to reach out. We've got people in every city to assist you, but without further ado, let's get to it.
All right, number 1, Toronto has an incredibly diverse culture, and that's because it's one of the world's most multicultural cities. So that means that there's people all over the place. And the cool thing about Toronto is you're going to find these micro neighborhoods kind of scattered throughout. So there's Chinatown, a little Korea, a little Greek on the Danforth, a little Vietnam. There's literally countless, little Italy. So depending on what you're looking for, you're going to be able to kind of find that in spades. So this is great for things like if you're moving to a new city and you are part of one of these cultures, you're going to have no problem kind of blending in, but also in terms of the food scene and just the people watching and the amount that you can take in from the city itself. There's always events, maybe there's a new language you can learn, but overall you're just going to have an access to basically the whole world right here in this one city.
Here's kind of the famous Chinatown Mall.
Okay, the second thing you need to know about is Toronto's wide range of weather. So in the summertime here, it turns into a bit of a concrete jungle. And the heat just gets trapped. There's not a ton of wind getting around. It's very hot. There's not like an ocean breeze that you might find on the other coast of Canada. So in the summertime, it gets very hot. Now I'm here in late September and it's about 20, maybe 18 degrees. It's perfect weather right now. And on those shoulder seasons of fall and springtime, you're gonna get kind of a mix of perfect weather and then some crappy weather. Then obviously this is a Canadian city, so you're still gonna have to deal with snow throughout the year and just ice, bone chilling cold that rips through Toronto. So overall, Toronto kind of experiences all the different seasons. They don't have hurricanes that you might find on the east coast of Canada, and they don't really have any huge forest fires near the city because it's got such a big spread like you might find out west. So overall, Toronto's got kind of a wide range of weather patterns that you'll have to be prepared for before you move here.
One other nice thing you're going to notice about Toronto is that there's an abundance of kind of green spaces or parks. So if you get a dog, you're never too far away from a place to take them for a run. And then in the nicer weather times, you can grab a coffee, read a book, whatever you want, just to get some of that outdoors greenery time in the, concrete jungle that is Toronto. And right now, it's time for me to get a coffee too.
Okay, number 3 is going to be the cost of living. Now, Toronto, like many other Canadian cities, the prices of everything have ticked up over the last couple of years since COVID, and this is true in Toronto as well. You're going to find an average kind of 1 bedroom in downtown Toronto's go for right around $2,500. Groceries, restaurants, bars, all that stuff you're going to notice are quite expensive to go out in Toronto, and even at the grocery store, you're going to be spending a lot of money there. So for subway, as well as bus and public transit, it's about $335, I believe, for one-way ticket. And the house prices, obviously, I'm sure you've heard, have got quite pricey here. So it's overall across the board in Canada. You've seen big price upticks over the last couple of years. But here in Toronto, just because it is such a large Canadian metropolis, you're going to find that some of those categories are much higher in this city than there are elsewhere.
All right, item number 4 you need to know before moving to Toronto is going to be your access to transportation options as well as the GO train. So the TTC is Toronto's kind of public transit body, and they handle things like the subway, streetcars, and local bus lines. So you're going to have access to a lot of these different, tools that can help you commute or move around Toronto without needing a car. And that's very extensive. Obviously, there can be delays like any public transit system. But the other thing they have here too, so it's called the GO trains and GO buses. And these are kind of more medium to long haul commuter trains and buses that allow you to get from a pickup spot and a drop off spot on a longer haul, kind of if you're going to be doing a commute or something like that. The final thing I wanted to mention too, which is handy for people that are needing to get to the airport and whatnot, is the UP Express, the Union Pearson Express. This allows a quick path and relatively cheap to get from the airport outside of Toronto into downtown Toronto. There's also a couple stops along the way if you want to switch and basically get out somewhere else in the city. So these are all really great options that should allow you to move around Toronto without needing a car.
All right, so here's the inside of the Union Station. We also have Via Rail here, which is kind of our national
railway carrier, but they've got the GO stuff right over here. So buses, trains, and then you've also got the subway that connects in here somewhere.
All right, for number 5, let's talk about healthcare. Now, there's a bit to unpack here when it comes to healthcare in Canada in general, but in Toronto as well. So when it comes to getting your own family doctor, something like that, they're very hard to find like much of the rest of the country. However, when we're talking about the emergency care, emergency levels of care, you're going to find the highest level of care anywhere in the world here. I'm actually standing out front of Sick Kids Hospital, which is kind of the pinnacle pediatrics hospital for the whole country, but would handle a significant amount of pediatrics here in downtown Toronto. On the adult side of things, depending on which hospital you go to, the ER waits can be a bit longer, but they obviously triage you. So if you've got a heart attack, you're going to be waiting a lot less than if you have a broken thumb. But overall, healthcare is something to be really kind of explored in downtown Toronto, as well as the rest of the country. As everybody should know, we don't really have a 2-tier system. It's all kind of everybody's on the same level. There are certain aspects that you can pay to speed up. Maybe you've got a private individual who has an MRI machine or something like that, or even fly to another country to get extra support. But overall, the quality of this service is very, very high. Just wait times can take a little bit longer depending on what you're getting done. All right, number 6 is going to be your access to education. Now, Toronto is a massive city and they've got a ton of different education, post-secondary options for you to kind of explore depending on what you're looking for. They've got trade schools, undergrad schools, and then obviously graduate programs and a whole host of, whether it's MBA, you want to get your MD, lawyer, dentist, anything basically. Obviously you're in Toronto, you're going to have an option there, and it's nearby to where you might be living. So this is something to kind of consider if you're coming here to kind of further your professional expertise. You're going to be able to find that in spades here right around Toronto.
Here's the underside of the OCAD building, which is the Ontario College for Arts.
Okay, so let's talk about the housing in Toronto. Now, I just checked today, it's September 2023, and the average home price in Toronto is hovering right around 1.14. So Toronto is very expensive to purchase a home here. It's on par, not the same level, but it's close to Vancouver. So if you are worried about budgeting, it's important to obviously budget and plan that if you're going to be in lower price ranges, you might be commuting, subbing out expense for commute time. That tends to be the rule of thumb in pretty much everywhere you buy. So that's something to just keep in mind, is that the housing here can be very expensive, whether you're looking to rent or buy. Alternatively, there is, again, that option to look to some of these outerlying areas that we will be doing content on as time goes on here, where you can actually commute in, save money on the purchase price, and still be encompassed by a community that has everything you need as well. All right, number 8 is going to be your access to the path. So I am on Bay Street right now, and I'm outside of the RBC building. And one thing that's kind of cool about Toronto is that you have access to this thing called the Path. It's an underground network of, hallways, restaurants, shops, whatever you want to call it, that allows you to kind of stay inside, get around downtown when there's bad weather, or in the winter when it's snowing out. So this is kind of a handy thing if you are going to be working downtown, or just to explore if you're in town visiting. Is your access to this great little kind of trail system that allows you to kind of get around within the downtown core without being outside.
And in the path, you'll find a bunch of little food courts like this. And then sometimes there's different access points to get to the street, like that. And then there's also a bunch of hallways that will have individual shops and everything else.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video on the 8 things to know before moving to Toronto. Once again, I'm Tom Moore, I'm your host, and if you are thinking about making a move in Toronto or anywhere else within Canada, we've been building up a very in-depth network of real estate professionals, lawyers, and everybody else that it needs to be there to help you with your move, whether you're buying or selling. So feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to connect you with somebody in any of the cities across Canada. And again, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're coming up with content very regularly on cities all across Canada, whether it's content on Toronto or any other large city. We can assist you there. And other than that, we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.